Hey guys, and welcome back. This is Gustav, and Gustav is a Swede. He lives in Sweden with his 1980 Saab 99 GL in acacia green. Today he took a little bit of time out of his schedule to talk to us a bit about his car and his perspective on the 99 model itself. So guys, welcome back to the Classic Saab Guy. Hi Gustav, and thanks for joining us today. Could you just tell us a little bit about why you're into Saabs and where your love of Saabs came from?
Me and Saabs go way back because my parents have owned Saabs previously. Like when I was a kid, Saabs were what we had. We had a 99, we had a 900, and for a brief period we have the Saab 600. That's the Saab Lancia 600. So that's where I basically grown up with them. So I got my first Saab in the spring of 2012. It was a bright yellow 1976 Saab V4, Saab 96. It had more rust than paint. The car itself, it drove fine, and that's what spawned my mechanical interests in old cars in general. I wouldn't say that I'm like a Saab fanatic. I drive other cars than Saabs, and I can appreciate other cars than Saabs. But it was the first introduction to mechanical to fix the car and everything. So I have a 1980 99, which is acacia green metallic. When I bought it, it had done 120,000 kilometers, and now I put almost 100,000 kilometers more on the meter. I've driven it loads and done a lot of work. This car has been a real lesson for learning how to do mechanics of cars in general, but also the Saabs.
So Gustav, if I was to ask you where you feel that Saabs may differ from other manufacturers, and of course let's talk about the elephant in the room. We're in Sweden, and so we have Volvo, and there's always been a little bit of a rivalry between those two brands on a kind of owner's level, I think. Could you expand on that perhaps?
So there's an old saying, for example, between this feud between Volvo and Saab, and it's basically that Volvo is a car that you ride and a Saab is a car that you drive. And I think that says a lot. Mainly when it comes to the differences, I mean, you have the obvious quirks. For example, you have no steering lock in the old Saabs. You have gear lever lock. I think they have slightly more personality to say, and they're more suited for rough driving, I would say, because if you look in the suspension, for example, it's actually taken from racing cars. You have the double wishbone suspension in the front, which was pretty unique when the 99 came out in 1968. And also all previous Saabs, the V4s, the two-strokes, all of them had double wishbone suspension in the front, which makes for better cornering in rally situations, for example. So that's what I think is to differentiate. So I would say that it's a fun car. Just to reiterate with the feud between Volvo and Saab, I think Volvo's was more of the maybe the large family car, but also kind of more executive. Although Saabs could definitely be executive as well.
But yeah, wasn't the Saab 99 actually marketed as an executive car upon its release? That Saab had actually entered the executive market.
Yes, that's completely correct. They actually did. So it's known as an executive saloon, the first model, 68. But I think that changed, and they kind of rooted it back to the origins of the V4s, the two-strokes that were excellent for rally driving, and also the later models. So the first one maybe was aimed towards executive, but the following versions were more aimed towards a fun driving experience, I think. So that's what Saab has been about. Disregarding of your social status or your work or anything, it's just a fun driving experience. Despite the fact that no Saabs have ever been rear-wheel drive, and the 99 has, for I think all models, have had the parking brake on the front wheels, so you cannot do any skids or anything. So it's a very safe car in that manner. In comparison to the Volvos that have been rear-wheel drive, and also the handbrake and being on the rear axle, for example. So it's a weird dichotomy with this, but I think the Saabs, generally speaking, the old Saabs have a fun driving experience. It's very direct, it's very sharp, and the bends The gears they're very defined in the gearing, which aids for driving. And also they're like nice sounding cars, I think.
Thanks, Gustav. What's your opinion on this cult of Saab? I've heard different phrases like Saabist or Saabaholics. I'm definitely in one of those categories. Just wondered how you feel about that.
I wouldn't define myself as a Saabist. I would see myself as a car enthusiast in general, because I can appreciate and have opinions about most cars. Since Saab now is a defunct brand, they don't make any cars anymore, so we have to work with what we have. So that's why I can say that Saabs are good cars, because I know them.
I actually come from the place that I want a car that's functional and practical and reliable, and I think when I got my first Saab, which was a 99 model many years ago, it just opened up a whole new concept of motoring for me. Yeah, I mean, it was comfortable, reliable, practical, warm in the winter, good summer car. That's where I'm coming from, in the sense that it provided everything I was looking for in a car, and then of course it had the added style and stuff. So yeah, things started to break down when I moved to Sweden, because we have long winters here, and of course that means there's a lot of salt on the roads, and that causes rust on our old cars. Then the idea is that you put the car away for the winter so we don't abuse them. So what happens there is that now I no longer have a functional, practical, reliable, all year round car. Now I have a cherished collector's car that goes away for like 6-7 months of the year. And that for me is not the idea of Saab. I currently own a 1992 Saab 900 Turbo convertible. And again, because it's convertible, even more so, it's advised that that goes away in the winter and it stops being a practical car for me. I just wonder what you think about that, being that we're both in the place where we want to use our Saabs.
Yeah, basically when it comes to cars in general, I see that cars should be things that you use. That's not to say that a car can be beautiful or it should be functional. Just to specify, for example, the 16-valve turbo convertible that you have is a winter car with a summer feature, I think. So you have the convertible because you can enjoy some top-down enjoyment in the summers. I'm more for the use of the car than for anything else.
Well, thanks so much for being here today, Gustav. It's been really great chatting with you. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of comments and questions because, of course, it is coming from an owner's perspective and we're not talking objectively here about our cars. Thanks again, and hopefully we'll see you again sometime on the Classic Saab Guy. Cheers.
Yeah, not at all, sure. Thank you.